And we have a Cito coming straight up at you. Hey, how we doing tonight, everyone? This is Uptown Tonight. We are actually into June now, June 2nd of 2021. So basically, I think this weekend's the start of the summer season, at least for all that's happening out there, especially music-wise. I know that a lot of the stuff moves away from the inner cities and kind of spreads out into the lake areas and all that. That's mainly where everything's going to be happening at. So tonight we have Mr. John Utter.
Yay.
And the Cito over here running all the buttons and everything else for us. So, hey, Cito. And my camera isn't really working today, so I get this one. So, hi. I hope you like to crawl. And again, if anyone's out there, actually, I know some people are out there, please, join in the live chat. Ask any questions you want. We may answer them. We may ignore you. It's going to be a good time. So I know John's here and he's got a lot to talk about, but first thing I really want to talk about, since we are moving into like a new phase of after Corona and getting into the summer season here, is that a lot of changes usually mean a lot of fear, and people fear just because they don't know what's about to happen. But this is the way I always picture. If you sit there and you start figuring out that you're uncomfortable, that just means you're starting to grow. And what do I mean by growing? It's just that, like this, what we have going here, this podcast, I came up with this idea months and months and months ago, and it took months and months for me to figure out. And we're still figuring stuff out. You can ask John or Cito or anybody who's been down here that how it's all like duct taped together right before we even get started. So, just getting all these things figured out. And it gets to be uncomfortable at times. And that's when you know things are starting to happen. Because if you don't have that uncomfortableness, you don't really have any drive to do anything. It's like, Cito, the first time were you on stage? Were you comfortable? I bet he was.
No, I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm still uncomfortable now, but I just do what I do. So
You still get the butterflies and all that.
I do, yeah.
Exactly.
What do you do to get over that?
take a shot.
So basically, my whole thing is, if you are feeling uncomfortable out there, you're probably in the right spot. Then you're probably finding some growth there that you really need to do. And now I'm going to get off my old soapbox here, and we're going to talk to John. John, how you been doing?
I've been doing real good, but I think that was a good segue. That was really good, yeah, with a lot of the coronavirus stuff. I'm even seeing parts of Europe are starting to open up, and for those of you who dream of touring over to Europe or even just visiting friends and family over there, it's a big part of what's going on right now in our society for sure.
And see, if anyone I know you've been to Europe more than anybody else I've known, so I'd be the first person I'd ask would be you about all that.
Well, one of the topics that we may segue into too was if you market even in the States or down south into Mexico, and there's a lot of opportunity for bands right now to move into Mexico, and I'll talk about some of those things later when we get to there. But yeah.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So, John, have you always been from Fargo?
I'm from a little small town called Hunter, North Dakota.
Hunter, North
Dakota. You guys may throw a little out here. You may recognize a musician, Sean Mitzel. Sean Mitzel's from Hunter, North Dakota, and he's kind of an acoustic musician that's been doing just tons and tons of stuff in the area. He's an excellent, excellent musician. So I grew up right across the street from Sean Mitzel in Hunter, North Dakota, and then have lived in and around Fargo most of my life now. Yeah.
Okay, so when did you move to Fargo?
Just a kid. I was just a kid. I would guess 10 years old, from a little small town into the pretty poor area of Fargo. We lived in community housing for a long time, and then lived in and around there. It was quite an experience, and so I've been here most of my life, but I've been fortunate enough to live in a couple other different cities. I lived in and around Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in Wisconsin, and then I've been fortunate enough to travel a lot too, from jobs outside of music and in music as well. So, but I do call Fargo home, and I do like the Midwest quite a bit. But there's so many opportunities all around the United States, and I don't know. I still consider this place my home, I guess.
And we appreciate that from you.
Well, thanks,
really
Wade.
do.
Thanks, Wade.
No, always seeing what you're doing, because every time it looks like that, you're done with a phase, all of a sudden you're jumping into something new. But what is the main thing that you do? What keeps the roof over your head? Because I know music we'd love to have happen, but reality.
Right. So I think the right way to say this is there's people that are busy, then there's people that are really busy, and then I kind of fall into this category of people that are insanely busy.
Yeah.
I have multiple jobs. I work in technology throughout the day. That's most of the daytime hours. But I also am fortunate to be an owner of a massage and health and wellness company. And then I do consulting. And then about in 2018, I took a leap and I opened a music studio. And I've been trying to supplement my income with the music studio. And the music studio, we do everything from commercial advertising, video production, work with bands. I have two different bands that I practice out of that music studio, and then we do international marketing out of there too. And it's just me and another guy that do that, but it keeps us unbelievably busy. And I guess on the side too, I sell digital billboards out of there. So if you see those digital billboards, you've seen them all around Fargo. I haven't had any big sales in Fargo, but I'll sell to anybody in and around the United States doing that too.
Yeah, so that's multiple streams of income, people. That's what we talk in there.
And I do day trading too sometimes.
And day trading.
Yeah, when I can.
Any Dogecoin?
No, I didn't.
Not into the Doge.
I do buy quite a bit of crypto, but I've never jumped on that bandwagon yet. I guess it's getting bought up by Coinbase tomorrow. So if you trade on Coinbase, get in on it, I guess.
Well, I know what Elon Musk tells me. You must obey Elon.
Right? I'm going to plug my Tesla into your house now. Yeah. I don't have a Tesla, no.
All right. So when did you get started doing music then? Was it back in Hunter with old Mitzel, or maybe just when you got into town? Or
I got to ask you that same question. When did you get involved in music, Wade?
When did I get involved in music? Well, I guess we can go on a little story about me way back in the day. Let's see. My mom made me start taking piano lessons what grade was that? 3rd grade? Because she said it'd be good for us. And then we did all that. And by the time orchestra came around, I wanted to play the bass. I thought that bass thing would be really cool. And of course,
like the full stand-up bass, you were going to rock it?
Oh, well, I wanted to, for some reason, I was always drawn to wanting to do something musically. I don't know, just probably because of gear. If you can't tell, I like gear.
Yeah.
So, and that was the one that didn't, well, it looked like the manliest thing on there, I guess. It might be the thing. But you're going to see a reoccurring theme here. My mother, again, said that she didn't want to drag that big thing back and forth from school and whatever else. So she talked me out of starting in the orchestra. Then the following year, we had the band tryouts, and I thought the saxophone was the coolest instrument in the world that had all sorts of buttons on there, and it was shiny.
The saxophone in the 80s. How romantic, remember? Oh, yeah.
It was because of the Muppet shows. That last note from the Muppet Show. I don't remember the guy's name. Was he Blue or something? Just bomb. I thought that was the coolest note ever. And
Can you still do the theme from the Muppet Show? Do you remember it? You could just do it right now.
Yeah, that's
we always come here. I guess we'll never know.
that's why we love Cito.
That was a good impression.
I grew up on the Muppets, man.
Oh,
I love
man.
the Muppets. Muppets in Manhattan, I'm watching it.
Yeah. So then we're at the tryouts, and I want to play the saxophone. And I learned later from being just in the education thing too, is that they used to trick people such as me by putting like a huge reed in there, a really, really hard reed, so just like a chunk of bark basically, so you couldn't make a sound on it, just so you can. They try to talk you out of it using that way, so you weren't making, or it wasn't fun. It wasn't easy for you to produce a sound with. So of course I got that one. I couldn't make the sound on it very well, or anything at all. And then my mom wanted me to do drums. And then basically the only reason why I think my mom wanted that to happen was they had the old price list there, and it was like saxophone $6,000, drum $400. I'm pretty sure that's what was the point.
Remember
there.
when our parents would do that?
$6,000.
You don't want this nice shirt. Don't you want these pair of pants and shirt over here that cause this?
Exactly.
She didn't think about how loud your percussion set would be, though, did she?
I
don't know. Maybe
they didn't seem to complain. That was the weirdest part.
Okay.
I always thank my dad and all that for that, because this very room that we're sitting in, this was the room he used to sleep in and during the days, because he worked at nights all the time.
Gotcha.
And my drum set would be literally right outside there, at least during the early days. And then we took over the room and kicked him upstairs and stuff when we got into high school. But so we did the drum thing there, and the I don't know, for some reason I guess I was good at that, because I still had the slip, and it said percussion. It was circled 18 times from the director and everything else. So
Nice.
they didn't for some reason they didn't want me playing saxophone. They wanted me playing the other instrument everyone wants to do. So
I actually heard a saxophone in a heavy metal band one time, which was really cool.
that would be
It
fun.
was really weird. That band was called Propane. They've been around forever. They were saxophone in the band.
Is that the one spelled Pain or?
It is. Yeah.
So how did you get started then?
Gosh. Well, since we got an hour, I don't eat up a whole hour talking about the last 22 plus years.
Hey, that is absolutely fine.
I wasn't fortunate enough to start in music early like a lot of the folks that I played with. I didn't pick up an instrument in grade school. I didn't have family that played music.
Same.
And so, so it was really the journey kind of began. I started following a local FM band, and for whatever reason, I was just really drawn to their music. That band was called Obsidian. Years.
Oh, BC. And that actually
man.
started in this
Yeah.
room as well. This is getting very odd.
I have that demo still.
The blue one.
Yeah.
Obsidian.
I
Yes,
remember
I
that.
remember Barney
Yep.
Haugen.
We had
Okay,
Tony
I won't get into
Housen.
that.
Yep.
But I came home from Texas. I think it was the second time my twin brother, was dating his sister, and then of course he knew that his sister, brother. I'm trying to get all this figured out
The
for you guys.
sister's brother,
Yeah, so my brother was dating Barney's sister,
Rita.
Rita. That's it. I
Yeah.
forgot her name. Yep, Rita.
Yep, Rita.
And then Rita's brother Barney played guitar, and he played metal, and I was also a metal guy back in those days, and they hooked me up with him during Christmas time. So he came here, and I just thought it was a jam, so I was just kind of appeasing people, and Barney came in, we played a couple, I don't even know what tunes we were playing, but
Sure.
something. And next thing you know, he shows up the next day, and he's got this list of names, and we're all looking at this like, what's going on? And literally, it was in this room. I can remember. We were like right next to this door here. And the only name because a lot of them were like Death Grinder and, just stuff like that. And then Obsidian seemed like
90s metal band names, right?
yeah, Obsidian seemed to be like, I wouldn't say the tamest, but it was something that you can kind of work with. So we
You're
said,
thinking,
okay,
what
Obsidian.
will they
and
put
then
on
it just
posters
kinda,
in Fargo, right? Yeah.
then it went from there. And very early Obsidian was actually me, Dan Larson, Barney. Who was on bass?
You had a guy named John for a long time.
What year was that,
Yeah.
Wade? When
You were talking 96, 97.
Oh, I was
97,
too young.
98,
Okay,
yeah.
I
Would
wasn't
have been
around
back
here.
then.
Well,
Okay.
you inevitably probably didn't realize that band that you were in influenced my way or my segue into music completely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is weird.
We've
I've
never
never,
talked about
known that.
That was
never known that.
That was a big thing. I really liked those guys. I mean, I was into the grunge music scene. The grunge was kind of the end of the grunge era, but loved the Alice in Chains type of style. Mixture for me was a mix between rock and grunge and metal in my mind. Maybe a little conjecture there, but that's how I viewed it, and it was something that I could listen to and hang out with my girlfriend, and she would like it too and stuff. So Obsidian was kind of that start of music for me. I played in Obsidian for a very, very brief and short period, kind of when they were kind of in between hiatus with a couple of band members.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I got a taste for music, and of course, when you start, you're very green, and I got a taste for music, and it was somewhat discouraging. I don't consider myself a natural like a lot of people are, but I'm more of a work at it until I get someplace. So started with Obsidian in the 90s, and I didn't play with them very long, but I knew it was something that I kind of wanted to include in my life, which was music.
Yeah, I didn't
And-
play with them very long either. I was in another band called Dorian at the time.
Dorian, that's a cool name.
Bumblebee. Yeah.
When did you get into 0 Hour? How long after that was?
0 Hour was
Would that have
that
been
was
2003?
2001, 2002. Yeah, that would have been when they came around.
Sure.
There was some dicey
Sure.
stuff going on at the time, and then the kids showed up, and yeah.
life.
Life showed up. Responsibility in
Yeah,
life.
responsibilities.
That's really great. That's great. That's great.
I
to hear.
wouldn't trade them for the world.
I hear you, man. I hear you. So it's a long journey. Music. I've been in quite a few bands. I'll kind of name off a couple of them and kind of get to the point of where we've been at today. So I did a very brief period with a band called Obsidian. I was in a band called Dead by Dawn, which was very brief for a while.
Dead by Dawn.
I was really, really happy in a band one time called Recluse. Recluse was a great group. It had 2 identical twins in it. They were nice gals and a cool singer. He kind of almost sounded British. That was a long time ago. Then I did a pretty long stretch in a band called Vindictus. I did Vindictus. That was the Viking heavy metal band.
Yes.
We'd dress up in the leather like Judas Priest, and the singer was really quite creative. He'd come out with a sword, and he'd sing those high vocals.
That's the drummer that had like the gong, right? The big gong, and
did we have
the
a gong?
big giant drum set like Neil Peart style?
Well, we had a guy eventually when I got asked to step out of that band after a number of years, and that's fine. That's all in the past. We're all good buddies now. But there was a guy named Uppy. He was in a band called Nine Eyes.
Nine Eyes.
Nine Eyes.
Oh,
yeah.
old Uppy
Really
there.
nice fella, Uppy. Really nice fella. I think he had the gong at that point.
Okay.
He had that gong at that point. But you guys were earlier before the show started. You were talking about people in the area, and some of your goals here were to kind of talk about the area and the scene and bands and different things. And
Yep.
it makes me think that sometimes we do work with some of the same members in the various bands around here for sure.
Yeah, as big as it is, like last week when we had Darren in here, and Darren and Cito never met. That's well, they may have met in passing, but they didn't really remember each other, which to me was kind of strange because it's a big area, but a lot of us we've seen each other at least doing the music stuff for years and years and years. So to me that was kind of strange, but yeah, that's just getting on your point.
And there's not a lot of venues hanging out at least in this first FM area anymore.
And
so
it
you
seems
think
to
we'd
be
run-
getting smaller. Because I remember when we first started, like the Obsidian days. I'm just going to bring us back to late '90s.
Please.
There was a few places that you could literally just rent out. So it's kind of a pay-to-play type deal, where you'd rent the place for $100. I'm just making this easy, and then you charge everyone $2 at the door and hope you make your money back, and whatever's left over. Hopefully the guy's generous enough to split it between the bands, but usually they just ran away with it. I'm just being truthful here.
Yeah, well, hey, there is that truthfulness to this whole thing. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. You and me did some business in a band called Six Gun Freedom. That was a good band.
Six Gun.
Yeah, we had some fun times with Six Gun Freedom.
Show the shirt. I've actually made these in my garage way back in the day when I was doing the T-shirt stuff. So
Yeah, what a device you had. It was this. It looked like this giant spider.
yeah.
the thing was
T-shirt
Oh.
presses.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a 6 one or 8? Well, how many could you do?
it was either 6 or 8. I don't
6, yeah,
remember.
it's a
It's
big
it's just a
boy.
part of the nightmares now.
That's pretty cool.
I will say a highlight. One of the highlights of that group is we were very fortunate to play a show with Jade Presents, and we played with Seven Dust, and
That's
one
what it
of the merchandise that we had gotten OD green old Vietnam era button down shirts, and you had taken them, Wade, and very artistically put the Six Gun Freedom.
I forgot about
you mean you
uh,
reprinted another shirt?
It was like literally, it was really cool. We got a deal on Vietnam era button downs. They were really cool, and Wade took them and put our logo across the back of them, and that band loved them so much they like bought up all of them. I'm not making this up. We had a booth, and they were selling the work that you did. It was selling so good that the manager for Disturbed, I think we weren't chums or anything. They had their merchandise next to our merchandise, and ours was completely selling out. And they came over to us and they said, "You can't sell them for $20 because we're trying to sell our shirts for $25." And I remember having words with them, but I'll share what I was like.
Tell us a little bit about these words.
Well,
Sounds
you
like
know-
it involved "fu."
No, it wasn't quite like that. I was, I was grateful to be at the venue, but I was like, I don't work for you. You don't work for me. And so
Nope.
we're never going to see each other again. So
That's
maybe
sarcasm,
you
I
should
mean.
have
Explain
better
the
merchandise.
shirt again. What was it? Like a mechanic shirt or
It was
button-up?
a full long sleeve OD green button down shirt that they wore like in Vietnam.
Yeah,
They-
okay.
those like you see on MASH
Yeah.
type of thing. And we had, I don't know, we got like 50 of them. Just this one time thing. We got like 50 of them, and Wade took them and did full color logos on the back. It was a really
Wow, Wade.
cool
Nice.
shirt.
I remember that now.
And then we
Never forget
we
about all
bought
that.
patches and put patches on them too that
Oh,
said
yeah, that's right. The
said,
patches, yeah.
I don't know, silly slogans and things.
And then the Disturbed guys were like,
they
"This
were
is awesome."
They loved it. Well, they
they were-
hated it.
Oh,
But because we were out selling them, we sold out all our stuff, and they're like, "You can't sell it for that price." That was all because of Wade.
that's awesome.
It was a good time. That was a
Oh.
big highlight.
Yeah, because that was the idea of doing that T-shirt thing in the first place. Again, it was just kind of like this podcast. Basically, like I said a million times, and I'll keep saying, is a rising tide raises all ships. If we can help each other out there, and just keep this tide a rising, good things and great things are going to happen in the future. But that was the idea of that doing the T-shirt thing too. Is I was literally like making pennies profit.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't much of anything. But then some people started getting a little bit needy because I'm doing this by hand. So they're not going to be completely perfect, every single one of them.
Boutique.
Yeah. So they have a little what do you
I
call
love
it?
it, a
Character
mash
to a
shirt
couple
with
of them,
band
and
logo
they
on
would
it.
It was really cool.
people would start bringing them back and demanding their money back. And by the time they take 10 shirts and I got to eat that,
way.
I'm in negative. So
I'm
I'm
done.
paying for them to have shirts. I just said hell with it after a while.
Yeah, and we're sharing this stuff. One of my goals for coming on your podcast, and I should always say is, again, thanks guys for having me on. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate what you guys are doing here for the area. You're definitely becoming influencers, which is really nice to see because you're not just a band. You're putting out an effort to kind of bring and talk about the community. That's being an influencer, and I think that's wonderful. So kudos to that, guys.
Thank you, man.
I mean that. That's really cool.
I appreciate it.
Well, it's a
But
big deal, man. It's a real big deal. And I wish you guys success in your band. I've come to see you guys, and I think you guys got great music. So that's great, and I hope more people come see you guys as well.
Well,
We're working on it.
You're working
yeah,
on
we're
it.
working on that. But we appreciate all you guys, especially coming in here and hearing all these stories. Like my favorite thing now is at the very end. It's not even off the roof anymore. At least, well, yeah, not
I
anymore.
love Off the Roof too.
Yeah, we got some cool things that are coming up this summer for Off the Roof. So you guys stay tuned. You're gonna love this.
Do you want to picture my ex-wife?
Just throw it in there.
Just in case
I
you're
want
looking
to
for
look at
something.
these
man.
things that you donated to us, though, to the room, though, that are behind Wade, though. You donated
Oh yeah,
some items here.
We got Skeletor.
Skeletor.
Yep, and He-Man. And then the Sega Genesis, and of course you got to have some Rosenblum.
Right. You
I wonder if you can even hear my Rosenblum.
We'll
right
see how
here.
long that lasts.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the He-Man, though. Thanks a lot.
Oh,
Wade's
you're
room
welcome.
is so awesome with all this
It's
nostalgia.
perfect in here.
You're welcome, guys. Thanks
No,
for having me
thank you,
tonight.
John. Love the swag. Now I lost my train of thought. What was I going with any of this?
I don't know if we had like a total thing. I'll just rattle on a little bit to. Well, again, it was nice to work with you. I worked with you for I don't know, maybe 2 years. Was it a year? 2 years?
Yeah, it's
It
been
was
a few
2 years. It's again, it's we haven't had a chance to talk in maybe 5-6 years. I see you, but we haven't had a long. It's been that long. Time is flying. Time is flying. In and
Has
about.
it been that long?
It has been
Oh my
because in and around 2018 was when I commissioned a group contractor to build the music studio on my property, and so that was a big change for me, going from bands and then taking that leap and saying, "Hey, am I gonna literally build a music studio?" I had a shed in my backyard that we used to practice here. Gratefully, practice here, right
yeah.
outside of these doors, and when you started moving on to some other projects and things you had in your life, tried to keep it going with some other projects of my own as well. And so we were practicing in and out of my old home in a woodshed. And I think a lot of bands have done that throughout where they started, and
Go
I'd
out to the woodshed.
go out to the
Yep.
woodshed. And I did that for a couple of years, and then just really kind of decided, do I want to take music in a completely different direction for me? And music production was always something that I wanted to do. Video production was something I always wanted to do. And I wanted to be more involved in the marketing. It was something that I kind of got involved in as a member of multiple different groups over the years. And so when I built a new property, part of it was, can I pull this off? Do I have enough income and money to build a music studio
Again,
on
being
my
uncomfortable.
property? Right. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier, and it was a big leap, building a building. There's quite a lot of regulations in Fargo too for building buildings on your property.
Oh,
I didn't have any clue what I was doing, and then the difference between just a big learning experience, soundproofing as compared to sound dampening towards the material. It was such a new territory for me. But over the last couple of years, it's gotten better. And then mixing and figuring out what I'm going to do. What are your goals? When you do this, you say you really got to set it out. Like, what are your goals? How do you define success for yourself? A lot of bands need to do that. And when I consult with bands now out of my music studio, one of the first things that I do is I sit them down and say, what is your plan? I'll sometimes discourage bands from even cutting an album. I do that now, and I think a lot of people are surprised by that. But I'll say, if you don't have a strong goal, are you going to give me that money? What are you going to do with it after? After I hand you a CD that you've produced in my studio, what do you do with it? That's an interesting. And I can help them. I can totally help them, but a lot of them have never thought in those terms. Like, what is the goal? Do you want to just cut a CD? Are you planning on touring the Midwest? Are you planning on doing international? Are you trying to sell it to make a living? We talk about doing music for a living. There's so many questions that they need to ask along that journey, and it's really a maturity journey. I'll tell you, trying to keep it light and funny here. One of my electronic groups is called Lumina. I should know my own band's name. Lumina. And we're about in our 7th year. Before I got my music studio and had the music studio built, I went down that road of hiring a marketing manager. Okay, what a journey.
Interesting. Yeah, how'd this go?
Oh my gosh, man. So,
because you've always done all the marketing every time I've seen you, and some of the stuff that you pull out, I just thought was genius.
Appreciate
and
that.
Then some of it I saw that was like, oh, you took that idea and you took this idea and you combined them together, and it's just, they worked out great a lot of the times. And anyone doesn't know anything about marketing usually costs you a lot of money. That's usually basically what ends up being. But it's something has to be done,
right?
Or else nobody knows who you are. You stand on the street corner,
for sure,
and dirty T-shirt.
And part of that marketing was, I had that fear like you're talking about. Am I going to take a huge portion of my life savings and build a music studio? Because what's the return on that investment was a big question for me. So I got a marketing manager. They don't really have music marketing managers in and around this area. So the guy that I hired was out of Los Angeles, and you consult with them. It's $150 an hour to consult with this guy. And so you got to have it together. I don't have that kind of money to just dilly-dally with somebody, and I don't think any of us do. And a part of that journey that was interesting is, which I want to share with bands, is he started asking some really tough questions that I think if bands are taking it serious and you have a goal and you want to start maybe touring, you want to start selling your product, some of the questions that he started asking me were questions that I just never, ever, ever thought about. And one of them that stands out to me was he said to me, with my electronic group, which is kind of like a Duran Duran type of group nowadays. We actually have a female vocalist now too, but he would say, who are you trying to sell your music to? Are you trying to sell? And he was very sarcastic type of individual. He goes, you trying to sell your music to 14-year-old girls? Is that what your goal is? And he's like, you trying to sell it to 50-year-olds, 34-year-olds, men, women, Latino, Germans? What are you trying to do?
Who's your target market?
Yeah, who's your target market? And at that approach, I was kind of saying like, hey, I want to sell it to everybody. And it was like kind of like a slap in the side of the face. He's like, you're never going to. You can't do that. It's not how it works. And he had another example, which was really interesting, is he did 2 different things. So he took my music and he put it in this marketing panel. And the marketing panels are, man, it's brutal. I'll use an analogy. Pretend you go to West Acres Mall, and you line up 100 girls. We're both men here. I don't know. Maybe you line up 100 men too.
Sure.
And then you say,
equal
okay,
opportunity.
Yeah, equal opportunity. And you say, who here thinks I'm attractive? You go down the line and you ask every single person, who here thinks I'm attractive? Generally, what will happen? 75% of them will say, I don't think you're attractive. 25% of them, well, we'll narrow it down again. 20% will say, yeah, you're not bad looking. Then the last 5 will say, you're the best looking person I've ever seen in my life. That's kind of like selling music. You take that, you have to expect that first 75, it's not going to like your music. But then that 20 and that 5, you want to know absolutely everything you can about those people. Everything. And then you can apply that to different factors in a world. Say you've got a city I'll use the city that's been very good to me, Mexico City. 26 million people live in Mexico City. If you can reach that 5% of 26 million people, that's a lot of people that like your music. But you got to target those people, and you got to learn that. But where I said you have to really, the best thing I can pass on to bands is you really, really, really need to learn to get thick skin. You got to play a show. You got to expect people aren't going to like your music. You can't look at it as a discouraging factor, because you got to look at it holistically and say to yourself, not everybody's going to like what we're doing.
No,
And
they usually don't.
and people can be rude too. People may come up and even make rude comments. You gotta blow it off. And you even like this chit chat that goes on in social media and stuff. Gotta have a really thick skin for that, and you gotta know how to professionally not respond to a lot of the social media jabs that are out there. That's some serious good advice that you can have, and that's very difficult. Everybody has temperament. When you start writing original music, and you put your heart and soul into it, you may believe in it so much, and then people will come down and say, God, that's the worst stuff I've ever heard before.
That is true. That is true. I've heard that many times myself doing the original stuff, because it's doing the cover band thing right now. To me, is kind of a new deal. I've been doing it for years now, but I think if I made a pie chart, I think it'd be more on the side of original music that I was in before, at least the cover stuff. But
Yeah,
I'm really digging this cover
It's kind
band
of sad, like
thing.
you
I
said
think
that though,
it's
because I used to write acoustic songs. I wrote songs for over 10 years now, and I remember the last days I had showed somebody my songs, and they told me, they were like, "It sounds like Poison," and then in my head I was like, "It does sound like Poison," So then I quit writing. I just felt like I wasn't writing nothing original no more since the '90s or whatever. So, but maybe now that you said that, though, I'm kind of like, you know what?
Let me
Get
give
back into it.
Yeah, let me give you a really strange example. So the marketing guy, great guy. He put some of my early electronic music together, and it was some of the first stuff that I was producing out of my new studio. So did I still, the music that I started producing to where I'm at today, vastly, vastly different in the quality levels. However, that said, the songs in particular could stand the test of time. And one song, they put it in front of this marketing panel, and some of their goals is to see, can it be radio friendly, all these other different things. They said, nope, this doesn't even rank. This doesn't even score. Like, this is garbage. And so we took it selfishly back, and we said, you know what? We don't feel that way. We don't feel that way. And so what I came back at them, and I said, why don't you give me more statistical data? Who is it that you're marketing? You're asking me these tough questions and putting me under this microscope of saying, are you trying to market to 14-year-old girls? I said, I need to know more empirical information. Who did you put this in front of? Did you play electronic music to a crowd of people that like country western? Are these people completely Duran Duran electronic fans? Are they kind of like that? And then when I got that information back, I was quite surprised, because I had to pay for this marketing. And I said, this isn't, even I can tell you that I don't want to play a great band like Gorgatron, a local heavy metal band, to a group of country western people. They're just not going to appreciate what they're doing. And that group, by the way, does it really well. So when I got that
Extremely
information
well.
back, we took it and we marketed it to a different group of people. And that group of people that we learned was Latin America has been unbelievably good for us with that electronic music. And it blew up crazy.
What was this group called?
That's Lumina. That's Lumina Band.
Yeah,
So,
but what was the group that you were talking about?
the Gorgatron.
That's been good to you.
Oh, you lost me
Oh,
there.
that was I
Just-
lost it too.
I thought it was like Live in America or something like that.
Oh well. Mexico City's been really good to us.
Okay.
Mexico City, the marketing area of Mexico City has been really, really good to us. And so when I say marketing, just like most of us, we'll put them on, your Spotify, or try and sell it on our websites and those various type of areas. But there's so many different marketing platforms to choose from too. Getting your music and your videos out through Facebook is still a good one. And I'm kind of rattling. I'll tell you one more quick tip that I really wanted to share with a lot of bands too, is if you're going to advertise your music, you really still want to find a way to gather information about who you're marketing to. So you have to engage people correctly. So if you're going to engage people, what I mean by that in particular is a lot of ways that it's done is you give away some of your music for free, but you ask them to sign up and share with you their first name, their last name. This is not new marketing information. And say, hey, if you like these first 2 songs that we're giving you, maybe you wouldn't mind signing up to our fan list. Then you get their email address as an example. But in order to get in front of those first those people to share your first 2 songs, you generally have to pay some money to produce an advertising campaign. But what you got to remember by this is after you've gathered their email address and some of their personal information, should you cut an album, your first album, maybe your second album, your third album, you already have their email address. And so it's not really guerrilla marketing by any means, but if they've already shown an interest in your music, you don't necessarily have to pay additional advertising dollars because you already have their contact information. It's like having a friend who likes your music. If they bought some of your music the first time, well, chances are you might have some success giving them some of your new music. So that's why up front you need more money than you do continuing forward. That's something a lot of bands could look at. If you're going to spend money on advertising, try to get some value out of it.
Yeah.
Really try to get some value out of it. Gather that information in some clever way.
Exactly.
I'm going off on a tangent, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But you brought up guerrilla marketing. Again, great book out there. Especially if you're in a band, you should at least read it. Because, there's
Those
so
2
many
guys have
great
done
tidbits in there, just how to just get your name out. Again, it's just like if you're going to stand on the street corner with a dirty shirt on, no one's going to know who you are. So you got to put something on there to let everyone know what's going on. And then you got to sell it to them like at least, 7 times before they'll notice it the first time. And then they need to see it 21 times before they'll actually engage. So if you start doing the math here, how many times they actually got to see things. So
that is really
I
crazy.
love marketing. I could talk about that all day.
We hear about people that complain. They'll say, what is it? You can have 27 compliments, but 3 negative compliments will bring you down. But going back to what I was saying is if you're going to be in a band, guys, you still need to be a little stony-faced. And when people are saying they don't like your music and this and that, if you believe in it, you still got to trudge forward and just go for it.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
that was one of the tricks I learned, especially in junior high. And kids come up and ask you absurd questions or tell you just things that you don't want to know. It's like, thanks for sharing, and just keep on walking. So
I just ask them, "What do you mean?"
you really don't want to know.
Explain. I'm going to write notes.
Put it in a note. Yeah.
So we still haven't figured out. Like, you start off playing bass.
Yeah.
And I know you kind of dabble in keyboards and drums too. So what kind of studies have you done with the bass or any of this stuff? Have you taken any private lessons? Are you giving private lessons? Do you?
Great question. So I've been very, very fortunate during the COVID time to get sponsorship from the state of North Dakota for my music studio.
Excellent.
So I got to call out a lot of thanks for that. That was a big surprise. The state of North Dakota has supported music in the great state of North Dakota, and my studio, because of them, has a lot of safety features in place. That was interesting, working with the state to get funding for that.
Get all your permits in line.
Get everything in together. So I teach bass guitar. I now very fortunately teach vocal lessons now too.
Nice.
And that's about where it kind of stands. Otherwise, I'm doing a lot of video production and commercial production. And in my studio, what I do is when I bring in commercial, I have a bunch of various products. I use a lot of Studio One products. We have a lot of keyboards. I work closely with Tim Kraft. Tim Kraft was a classically trained pianist. I didn't know that for years. He never kind of showed that aspect of him. But over the last 7 years, I've been working.
But hi, Tim, if you're watching out there.
Yeah.
We're going to get you in here,
Tim,
trust me, Tim.
Nerd?
Yeah, that's
He
Tim
says,
the astronaut.
Fire me up.
Yeah, he's been very instrumental. I love that word. Instrumental in my musical growth. He's incredibly in his head. He count, note. And all the other groups, we were very organic musicians. And what I mean by that is, guy picked up a guitar, he was just knew how to play it, And so I come along all these years later, and I had no formal training. Never really worked with a classical pianist. And so working with Tim over the last couple years has been really big on my growth of, you know, learning music notes, learning cadence, learning timing, multiple different timings, all the stuff that goes along with it. And I'm sure you maybe do a lot of that in your roles. Some of that you've. I mean, I never did it with my other bands. That was what was really weird about it. We never said, "Hey, what's the time signature of this?" Or, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what are you counting right now?" That's like everyday studio life. When I work in the Lumina band, and now that we have a new female vocalist, we're passing all that on to her as well. So she's coming
Nice.
along fast. Boy, she's a good singer. So
Gotta pass the torch sometimes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yep. And we have the Lumina link in the description below. So please check that out. Was it a Lumina A band?
Lumina band. Lumina is Dutch. Lumina happens to be a really cool club in downtown Amsterdam, and that's kind of where that name came from.
Hey.
So yeah, cool. If you're in Amsterdam, at or around Leidseplein, you got to go there and check it out and have lots of good times there.
Yeah.
So that's Dutch, Lumina for lights, band.com. And then I'm in a heavy metal band too. I'll plug those guys a tiny bit here. I'm not here really to plug the bands. I wanted to talk to you guys, and it's a pleasure to be here. But I'm in another band called Misery and Silence. And
Misery and Silence.
Misery and Silence.
We'll have that below as well as soon as we're
Yep.
done here.
And that's been going. I've been in that group for like 2 or 3 years now too, and we've had some band member changes, and some lineup changes, but we're going strong, and we should be playing shows. Boy, I would think right around the corner here. I mean, a lot of originals. We're doing cover stuff. Our vocalist is I would say he can do. What am I thinking? The ultra high vocals like Iron Maiden and that sort of stuff, and then the backing vocal or
Ouch.
the backing track music, and the rest of the recipe is. I hate labeling it, but it's Lamb of God, maybe Machine Head / whatever we're coming up
There
with.
we
It's
go.
pretty aggressive, pretty fast, a lot of 160 beat per minute type of stuff, sung over Iron Maiden type of vocals.
Now we're getting technical. I love it.
So, yeah.
Eric
So,
Dickinson.
yeah. Hope that wasn't too windy there for you guys, but
Oh, no.
yeah. So a lot of that stuff. So how did you guys? My curiosity is high too. So I see you guys are playing everywhere. Is it okay for me to say I'm aware of who you guys are working with? Do you shove that on the air often, or is that not part of this?
Well, let Cito talk about this section.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we run through the Bitzer agency, and I've been with them for a long time. Took me a lot of years to get my foot in the door there with my old bands that I had before, but now, we work together and they help us, and we try to help them, and very happy to be with them. They really take care of us, and it's been a good thing. And with this latest band I've had, it took me years to put this together because I had no drummer for a year.
Sure.
I was using sub drummers for a whole year in the band, lining up drummers you're here
Every
here,
gig, like you're these 3 gigs
and
here.
the band wasn't developing because we weren't growing no more. We were just hanging on, and I lost a bass player 2 years ago.
Oh,
So then
bummer.
I took the guitar or my acoustic guitar and I went to bass because I played bass when I first started. And then I found Wade. He was subbing in with us, and then made him the solid drummer. And then Peter's been with me now for 5 years now. And then we brought in Brady, the newcomer, last year. And the band's
Brady
just
the kid.
been, it's just feels like a family now. It feels perfect.
Speaking of bass, since you said you play bass, one of the recent discoveries that I had that I want to share with bass players is I'm not a big person, 5'8", 170 pounds, but I was playing these monstrous basses, all these huge things. It was only within probably the last 2 years that I discovered Ibanez makes a bass called the micro bass. They literally consider it like for kids, short scale. There's short scale and then there's micro. We're talking a 28 scale bass, but when you play in a heavy metal band, like some of these, when I'm talking, I have to play Lamb of God, and I'm trying to match the speed of my very talented guitar player, Matt. I mean, this guy is all over the fretboard. I mean, you're watching the lightning going, and as a bass player, and I'm still following the percussion guy, I'm like, that is almost, or it has been in my role, impossible to do. So enter these micro basses, completely changed my like I would say changed my life. It changed my musical abilities and ramped up the game to the level that I always needed to be at. And that happened by taking a micro bass and then throwing in some Seymour Duncan pickups or something on it. You know, you take one of these short scale basses and it's like picking up a guitar. And you can do some other adjustments, put a 105 string on the top and do some other things so that the resonance is nice and tight if you're tuning down to C or D for those heavy metal guys. So, I mean, if you're doing
the tone's
some...
the same too.
Well, when you add a Seymour Duncan, when you add Seymour Duncan, like I'll just use that as there's lots of great pickups out there, but get a split bridge pickup, heavy gauge strings. You want to pair it with a quality amp. Maybe go with Mark Bass, one of these other quality pieces, and suddenly you're holding. I mean, everybody who sees my guitars, even it's even better than the short scale Gibson that I own. I mean, these things are absolutely amazing, and they're within the reality of any musician. You can buy a micro Ibanez bass, $170. You can go out and buy maybe some nice Seymour Duncan pickups. They're about $200. Heck, I said heck. You can buy some Getty. you like Getty Lee? Find Getty Lee's line of pickups. Put some Getty Lee pickups in there. All of a sudden, you've got a passive bass that sounds like a sweet, sweet little honey. And
that's pretty cool. I'm gonna look in that micro bass.
Micro bass. They're called the micros, and beautiful tones too. And just adjust the bridge a little bit higher so there's no rattle. And man, it opens the world. You want to play fast bass? That's the fastest bass I've ever encountered, ever. Speed neck, speed playing. Just check that out. That's
super cool.
Really within the
Are there
realm
any of the
most
bands that are using those that we know? Like
I've never seen anybody do it. I've never even had anybody talk. In fact, short scale bass, nobody in 22 years of me doing music ever said, "Hey, Utter, have you ever considered playing a short scale bass? Because when you're trying to stretch to play Laid to Rest or something, you look retarded and you're not doing it right." Nobody had that insight. So this was just a pure out of luck frustration. I was like, I short scaled to a Gibson, and that was opened some serious doors. And then I said to myself, I wonder if they make a 28-inch neck that you can short scale to, because I'm not playing, the highest octave.
Billy Sheehan bass.
No, I don't, and I don't live down here doing that stuff. These guitar players that I play with, that's their world, and they're the best, so I let them do it. But as a bass player, highly, guys, get your hands on these things. Even right out of the pocket, when you get them from like a Sweetwater, they sound pretty decent. I'd go with Ibanez though for the short scales. Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna look into it.
Okay, yeah, another tangent. Didn't mean to go off on that one, but
that's good.
yeah,
We really rarely talk about gear in here. I talk drums all the time.
I'd love
the drum guys, but it kind of.
Yeah, I got to plug my drummer for his name's Dan, and he plays a Sonar kit, and he's so proud of his Sonar kit. Beautiful, beautiful drum Sonar kit.
The European kit.
And I'm hauling it in with him, the
Do we
bass
have
guy
pictures of any of that?
of the Sonar kit. I don't know if I don't carry him in my wallet. I bet my drummer does. He's
What do we
like,
got for
Sonar kit. So
we might have one up. Oh, do we not have pictures up?
Oh, we have pictures.
Oh, hold on.
We
here.
do. Where are they?
Oh,
There we go.
There we go.
I just grabbed ones of John, so I don't know
think
where
that's
he's at in most of them.
I think that's a Schecter bass right there. That's an old Schecter bass. But a lot of these basses, what I'll do is I have to work on the bridges and I'll take a 5 or 6 string bass string kit, and I'll add it to a 4-string bass. Otherwise, when you tune down, if you're a metal guy and you're tuning down, that the tension of the top string, whether you're D or C, it's almost unplayable if you're gonna have any speed.
Yeah.
You're not bouncing around. That was my first Gibson. Great Gibson, of course. Very noteworthy
Are
company.
you standing in the shower there? What's going on?
That is, dude. I always shower
That's
like that.
The AC/DC bass player. Doesn't he play one like that?
I don't know.
It kind of looks like the one he played, but I can't remember.
AC/DC, another great band.
I love that picture of you.
Appreciate that. I
What
don't know
bass
if that
is
was
that
at the
one?
TAC. That's a Schecter. I think
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
Schecter. Schecter, another great company. But even back in those days, I mean, that was before I discovered short scale basses. And, that one played like an Ibanez, that one particular. It looks like it has those, I would say the wrong Bugatti pickups or Bungie, or they start getting crazy when you start reading on the Ibanez website at least. But
I like it though.
yeah, good stuff.
Nice color.
Good stuff. I do a lot of those sunbursts. That was just a T-shirt that I got from a client in Canada.
This is your office or here?
Yeah, that's one of the office pictures. Good stuff there.
Smell the what?
No, this guy is very
Small town proud.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
John is very, very well traveled. I know he's every time you look on his Facebook, he's somewhere that I always want to be. And
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean,
we don't have time
you're gonna
this
have to
time to
get us
talk
down
about all
into
of his
Mexico.
traveling stories.
I'm
But we'll
telling-
get to that.
well, let's talk about Mexico. Let me tell you a cool story about Mexico. Let's say there's Matt Breitenbach up there, and I'm playing with Matty again. I've played in multiple bands with Matt. He's a real powerhouse on guitar, real talented individual.
Wait, what's his name?
Matt Breitbach.
What other band?
Isn't
did
that
he play in?
Soho?
In Soho, we saw Soho a couple weeks ago.
Is he from around here?
Yeah, Matt's from around here. I think he lived in a smaller town. He would tell you better, but I've known him through bands. We played in Kill the Sky was a band we did about six years together, and we cut an album at Gray Barn Studios.
That's right.
I think he
back in the
lived
day.
above me
Yeah, man.
in an apartment. Because I swear, I
Did you live right over by Job Service?
no, it was over on 45th, but
Boy, we had some fun stories
yeah,
about
it's not
that.
him though.
His apartment living when he lived with our guitar player. That's a cool picture. That's, of course, Jimmy Page.
Wow, look at that.
Jimmy Page, and you know what? Wouldn't it have been cool to see? I've never seen Jimmy Page in concert, of course, but really cool
Oh,
to see Jimmy
that
Page.
was my ultimate concert ever been to.
Really
1994, Plantin Page down at the Target Center.
nice.
Almost died on the way home, but my
no.
gosh,
the
that
traffic.
it was just late at night. There's literally, it was my first year in college in MSU, well, so MSUM these days. And that morning we were heading out on tour with the, I guess the concert band or the wind ensemble, whatever you want to call it. And that was actually going to Canada. And the concert was the night before. So we went there with all my friends and we watched that and just blown away. But then I had to be back.
The
So
same.
we just so we just jumped in the car and started driving back. Everyone was falling asleep at the wheel. It was a bad deal. But we
Turn
made
around.
it. We made it.
Turn around. I think that's at Specs Bar.
Oh, is that the
Definitely-
drum there? It is. No, that's not it.
I definitely would plug that place. Great venue for small acoustic groups or smaller groups. Incredibly nice management. They'll treat you so good. That previous picture, that was at the Hard Rock Casino in Sioux City, Iowa. If you're ever heading down to Sioux City, Iowa, or heading out into the Sioux City area, Sioux City's got a great. Sioux Falls has a really growing metal scene. For some of you beginning groups, check out the Phoenix Lounge in Harrisburg, South Dakota. I think we did a gig there once. Wade, Harrisburg. It turns out their sound man runs one of the bigger venues in Sioux Falls, and then the owner makes tequila.
Wow. Interesting
fact.
Oh, I think I remember this now.
The crazy jars of tequila sitting on top
Yeah.
of like an old fridge, and he
That's
was like,
right.
do you want these? Do you want some tequila?" And I think we still partook in it. We were like, "Yeah, why not?" Yeah.
Nice.
Gotta do that.
That's
Ooh,
Tim
it's
Kraft.
Tim.
Kraft. That's the pianist that I was telling you about earlier. Really, really big into musical counting.
Is that
and-
wrestling or what?
Yeah, that's wrestling. He loves his wrestling.
He is a ball of energy, and
Yeah,
it does
he's-
not stop.
He's a peacock for sure. Really,
That's a great way to say it.
an extrovert. We played. I remember we played a show. We rented out the VFW downtown. We were talking about old times.
Yeah.
Hosted a show during like the Fargo Fair days, open to the public, and we had free champagne and a bunch of things going on at the show for Lumina Band, and I think me and him together were extroverts talking to people, but there were so many new people that didn't know us. We ended up kind of like spooking them a little bit. They didn't know what to expect in that situation. We're like, have some free champagne and have a good time. And
What do you want?
it was a small crowd. Like, why are you
You
talking
gonna
to
lock
us?
the doors?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So that was we still laugh about that, but that was at a wrestling. They had like Fargo wrestling. The fun part about that story is Tim owns. Of course, he owns tag team championship wrestling belts. So that's what you see we're holding. So we went there wearing them, and I wouldn't say we heckled the wrestlers, but we we made our presence known that we were the tag team champions. And at one point, we were leaving, and we had a nice time at the show, and they were incredible entertainers. But one of the characters, either he took it really serious, but he kind of confronted Tim when we were walking outside, and he's like, "Let me see those belts." And he said, and he was like the tag team champion. And I remember the dialogue broke down a little bit, and the guy was kind of like posturing a little bit and kind of had us sizing us up and this and that. And Tim, he said, "I'm the champion," and Tim kind of had the belt, and he said, "See what it says here? It says World Tag Team Champion." He's like, "You're just local or something." It was he had it. It was really
Nice.
He pulled it out of the hat, the rabbit out of the hat, because I didn't know where this guy was going, and we were just having a nice time.
World.
It says World right there, and
Nice.
oh, ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, there's my dog, sleeping with my dog, probably after a
Nice.
hard night of practice for sure.
They love the cuddle.
Yeah, good times.
What's the dog's name?
That's Thor.
Thor. Nice.
Thor. So when your girlfriend shows up with a dog, you really can't say no. Run the risk. That's out in Florida. Like Florida, you guys get a chance to travel this year to anybody out of state? Florida's always nice. That's down on Clearwater Beach area up in a high rise. I'm sure drinks were soon to follow on something like that.
It has to happen.
That has to happen.
I think
So
that's
good.
it.
That's all
that's-
I pulled for you.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So
So
there
what's-
we go. But before we get to your stories on Mexico City, we need to find out what's going on out there. So, Cito, what are we doing this weekend? Or what's going on this weekend?
Hey, it's me right here. Oh, there's my phone with another update coming in. So, what we got going on here? What we got going on is the Out of Town Report. We have the O Original and Minot Dirty Word is out there on Thursday. Oak Park Minot. We have Slamabam out there on the 5th. Laughing Sun Brewery, our favorite place in the Bismarck Mandan area. We have Robert Dixon and Arnold Jordan and Andrew Larvey on Thursday, and then the Shaky Calls on Friday. What is that?
Celebratory jam session for the late Jack Green.
Oh, okay, I see that. I thought it said celebrity jam. I'm like, who's gonna be out there? Stage Stop Saloon in Mandan. We got the Fargo Comedy Roadshow. Oh, they're on the road, huh?
Yes.
Nice, good for those guys. Hotel Shoreham in Detroit Lakes has the Front Fenders. And then we got the Downtown at Dempsey's. We got Zach Granall Band Friday and Saturday. DCR Alley Concert Series is Gina Powers with our very own Uptown's Redmond, which is Peter Wilbur.
It's Red Monk, sorry.
Red Monk and Wolf Girl.
All good.
Sorry, I was trying to go ahead there. DJ Melby is going to be on Saturday. DJ Melby's our sound guy once in a while, right? That's
right.
Melby, yeah.
All right.
He's our sound guy during the summer. Roundup Saloon, Rachel Onero is going to be out there. And then Pub West, we got Mr. Michael Pink on Thursday doing his acoustic tang.
All right, Mike.
Aquarium, we got OG Nixon. That's going to be a good one on Saturday. And then the Firth Lutheran Church summer concert series has post-traumatic funk syndrome on Wednesday.
It's actually going on right now.
Right now.
Yeah. That just kind of popped up here. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I think this morning when I found this one, and that was.
All right.
And it sounds like they're just gonna bring a bunch of bands out on Wednesday night, and they're gonna have food trucks and all sorts of things around there.
Good for
So
them. Yeah.
that might be an interesting place just to kind of check out if you're walking around on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and you get post-traumatic funk syndrome out there, man. That's good. So downtown, we got Hooligans. We got Mick Klein doing his acoustic thing on Friday. VFW Fargo Ditching Delmer will be out there Friday and Saturday. Big Irvs out there. Mike Morris is doing his acoustic show on Thursday. Specs, we got Doug Thompson.
Weren't we talking just before this that there's no big herbs anymore?
Yeah, but that's it's in Horace, I guess.
Oh,
Big
okay.
Irvs
well,
in
never
and I thought it was
mind.
still
So
at the Rose
we were
Creek
talking
because they
about
still
Rose
got the
Creek.
sign there.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Specs, we got Doug Thompson out there. I'm not sure if that's a band or solo. Midcoast Stage, Essentia Health Plaza, Tribute Fest. Thursday is Material Girl with Fame Monster.
Yep.
And then Friday is Free Falling. And then Saturday is Snake Oil, 80s, 90s rock. So now is that private though? The Essentia Health Plaza, is that those private parties they put on?
Is that what's going on? 'Cause I've never seen anything about this. I just kind of I found it while I was digging for things, and I was like,
I think they put on private parties for their employees.
okay,
Because I live by there, and I remember when a train was out there years ago, and you could hear them from across the interstate, but it's private though.
Oh.
So, and if you have a friend
okay.
that works for Essentia, I think you can get tickets through them too, or something like that.
Hmm.
Don't quote me on this. I don't want them calling me up like, no. But I think these are private shows though for like employee parties.
Okay. Yes, I've never heard of any of these things, so I was like,
All right,
oh.
and then where else we got here? We got the Uptown Report. We got the Windbreak on Thursday is Aaron Simmons, and then some shitty cover band is out there on Friday, and then Saturday night 32 Below will be out there. Shooting Star Troubadour Friday and Saturday, and at the Roadhouse October Road is on Saturday. The Pros Lakeside and Devil's Lake we got Rick Sanger,
Sanger, I think.
huh? Like Mark Singer. All right.
We'll work on
Okay.
And then the Out of Town we got the Original Mine Out with Dirty. Oh, I've already been there.
And that's
And there we go. And that is the Uptown Downtown Audit Report with Cito. So back to you, Wade.
And remember that any of these times and dates and venues could change at any given moment. So please contact your venues before you plan on traveling out there to go see your favorite entertainers of all sorts. Always check that out.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. John.
I see. Do we have an update from the TAC? Those guys, are they still staying busy? Those
I always
Those folks?
look for the TAC.
yeah.
We'll have to have Cito check on that. I didn't see anything myself.
I'm on
when
it.
I was looking for that.
Beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep.
Thanks, buddy. They've been a venue that's supported my band in the past, so
TAC's
definitely
great people.
great,
Todd and
beautiful
Kirsten
venue.
out there, yes.
very nice. Now, did he play in October Road? Was he in October Road?
I cannot remember. They always tell me. I'm like, oh yeah, that band. And
'Cause he's a
I
drummer.
forget. So sorry, Todd, if you watch this.
Yeah,
I
he's a
should know.
percussionist and
Yeah.
always takes a lot of interest in the setup of the percussion. Heck of a nice fella.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, for sure.
Very
Okay.
nice. So let's get to Mexico City. What's going on down there?
Mexico City. Well, I would say that.
They start off with a giggle, you know. it's
Yeah,
pretty good.
well, yeah, Mexico City. Well, we kind of seen the news about Mexico. It can be a rough go sometimes. What kind of happened? Well, I'd like to talk about Mexico in general. Is I met a guy from Las Vegas, and he was a short-term cook, and then he was a truck driver, and he did a whole bunch of different things. And I got to chatting with him, and Vegas is all different sorts of entertainers, and he was telling me about a group. We'd gotten into a conversation kind of about Hairball, the traveling group Hairball, which is a pretty big group of individuals that do covers and costumes and different things. And Las Vegas had kind of a Hairball style type of group that passed through there and then went south. And he worked with one of the members of that band. That he happened to be like a short line cook in Vegas, and then he'd do his Hairball type of group, and they traveled to Mexico, and he was telling me about how when they went into Mexico, they got treated like royalty, and they were just, people still came out of the woodwork to go to shows, and they sold merchandise, and there was just a huge interest in music still. So that got me to thinking like, wow, is this for real, or is this a fairy tale land where musicians go and they fill the house and people don't even know about them? They just want American music. And so we took some gambles and we started doing some marketing in Mexico City. And at first it was very broad, just trying to throw something against the wall and see if it sticks, and doing Facebook marketing. And then we moved on to more target marketing. This was with my Lumina group, and we had unbelievable response. And
Interesting.
so the takeaway from this is that what I learned and I'm sharing with you guys tonight is it still seems like there's a really good scene for music down there. If you're willing to try and market in and around Mexico, Mexico City's been very good for the Lumina band. Maybe it'll work for you guys if you're trying to market. It's very cheap to do Facebook target marketing down into Mexico City if you have a solid product that you're trying to sell, merchandise, CDs, songs. I will say I would avoid trying to sell just individual songs. People aren't buying songs anymore, guys. Don't throw your money up at that.
Interesting.
Don't do it. That's my advice. I'm sure that's some conjecture in there, but I've thrown a lot of money at trying to selling individual songs. Don't do it. You're better off trying to sell an entire album or trying to market to them merchandise and things like that. Or if you got a show, Go down there. Use it as a stopping ground for a vacation. Book a show.
Exactly. Have you played down there then, or
I have not, but
is there any plans in the future?
definitely there's plans in the future. So me and Tim Kraft, we're also looking at Germany. As a place, as a potential
you're
place
making
to
me
play.
jealous now, so.
And I went over there and I visited the ISS Dome with my girl, and we went all over Germany, and we went to a place called the Stahlwerks, and we witnessed a band called And One, which is like Germany's. They call it new metal, but their new metal can also kind of border on hard Depeche Mode. It's not all like Rammstein that we're familiar with. They were like this band was called And One, really, really talented group of people. We went to see them, and then I went there to talk and see what the possibilities of playing music is in Germany for a short tour. And then what you want to look at, it's much easier in the States to go to Mexico though, and tour in, and you just well, there's a lot of rules, but it's not really a lot of rules to bringing equipment across the border, how you're getting paid, how you're getting taxed. Very easy in Mexico. European Union is a whole different animal.
I can about
When,
imagine.
when I started talking to some of the bands over there in the EU, one in particular that I really like right now is called No Positive or Zero Positive. That's a really good group, and I've been having some discussions with those guys. You can go there and play. You can be there for 90 days. But you're not officially supposed to collect a wage, but you can sell merchandise. You can keep your merchandise. It's real strange. You can sell your merch, bring it with you, sell the merch. You get taxed on the way out on what you sold. You can keep those profits, but you can't officially be on the clock, on the dollar. But you could tour with the band. You'll have to read between the lines on that, how you could make it work. But after that, same thing. You apply for temporary visa and do some of that work. You'd probably want to talk to like a marketing manager that's done that for people in the States. I mean, bands go over there all the time. They go to Canada. There's even some rules about going to Canada. Maybe that's a reality. We're here in Fargo. Winnipeg, I've heard, has big scene, so there you go.
Let's get on this, Wade. Mexico sounds fun.
Yeah,
it does.
Do it. Do
Let's
it, guys.
use our
It's gonna be warm
connections.
this week,
And
but
you can find all that information right on the web. I'm not the expert. Find the expert advice right there on the
Google
web.
it.
We can stay at my cousin Felipe's house.
Hopefully he's in Monterey.
Felipe, you still live here?
Well, when I came in
we
here
love you,
today, I was
Cito.
kind of hesitant walking in, and there was the big dog. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a littler version of your old dog.
Yeah, poor Max passed away a few
guy.
months ago, and then the house just got too empty. So
Poor
we
guy.
got old Zeben now, and
He's cute.
he's a terror.
He's in his terrible twos now.
Yes, he is. Yep. So, but speaking of destruction, Cito, what's off the roof this week?
Oh, let's find out. Let's see if we can guess here. All right.
All right, this is going to.
Climb up on the
I'm
roof.
scared I'm gonna miss.
Oh, nice.
Go.
Off the roof. That's great.
China. Baby bowls. Oh, it's a plate of something. Oh, that one's
Why
a
does
cool
destroying
one.
things always make everyone smile?
Oh, because it's so good. Look at.
Then you find out it's like something your kid made.
That was great grandma.
Nice.
I'm scared I'm gonna miss.
Something I think they found on the side of the road, so my daughter was really excited to blow
That's
that
great.
one up. So
That's really great.
there you go. So for you, John.
I love the
And we got a bunch
destruction.
more real interesting things going to be going off the roof here. My son's coming back from the military here on Friday, so we're going to stick
Congratulations.
him up there and he can show his military might then. All right, so John, it was great talking with you.
I never
Man.
thought I'd be interviewing with Tom Cruise, so
Oh yeah,
you know.
discount time, whatever.
Discount Tom.
No, so got anything coming up here? You got anything good for the order?
well, let's see here. One thing I was gonna plug is I'm working with a musician, Gordy Bridgeford, and Gordy Bridgeford's been around the town forever and ever, and he wrote what may be like his best song ever. It's called Follow You, and crazy. He wrote it. He wrote it at 67 years old.
Okay.
And I reached out to him. He's got a video. It was produced. The whole music was produced in, I believe, Washington, D.C. He's working with another guy named Greg Berger. And I'm really busy putting together, along with Greg, aspects of shooting that video. And they're going to try and submit it to the Fargo Arts Festivals and all these various things. So that's a pretty big project for me. I don't get a chance to collaborate with a lot of different people from different areas, unless it's like with mastering music, but it's not that same type of animal, same type of requirement.
This guy in town then?
Yeah, Gordy Bridgeford lives in Moorhead. Is
he the one I used to play in Icebreakers?
He's playing tomorrow night at the Cork and Cleaver.
Okay.
The Cork and
I think
Cleaver.
that's him.
He was in a band called Acoustic Wood. I believe he ran with the Front Fenders for a while,
Oh,
too.
that's where it is. Okay.
And I'm trying to think of some of the other groups he's been doing music probably 40 years. He's got a great voice. If you're out there in the world of the internet, look for his song called Follow You. Follow You. That's a great song. It's I kind of consider it like a Tom Petty / country song. Really good, really great song.
Sweet.
So,
You
yeah,
should have him on the podcast
you
too.
really
Maybe I
should.
get the information from you before you leave.
God, he's a heck of a nice guy. I did some country music with him, and he taught me a lot of things that from bands that I've with him was 10 years with another person. It was unbelievable.
Awesome.
But compliments to you. One of the things that I learned playing with you is I'd never seen a musician or percussionist that could hear a song, do that, make that sound with your mouth. I'd watch you listen to a song, hear it once, play it, hear it a second time, and I couldn't believe how you almost had the entire song down. I to this day, me and Tim will talk about that. We're like, I can't believe that.
That's why we
guy.
call him the Whiz.
Years of systematic abuse. That's all that is.
It's amazing talent you have there. So kudos to that. So miss that. My new drummer, awesome guy too. Really, really similarly talented, but it's really cool.
Always
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Cito, got anything else on there?
No, I got the update from the tech center. Riff Raff just played there yesterday, but when I looked at the schedule, there's nothing on there till June, and that's going to be post-traumatic funk syndrome. So that'll be it for that, Wade.
All right. So nothing at the TAC this weekend.
Okay.
That's all right. So remember out there, if your drummer has more charisma than your front man, you might be in trouble. But my band is doing just fine. All right. Until next time.
Goodbye.
Take it easy.